Welcome, friends, at Integral Body Institute. Today we have a live with a very, very special guest. It's a man that I met about 5 years ago in Marino in Poland. It's a center where I had a privilege to be part of his sound healing ceremony that profoundly affect my being, my body, mind, and spirit. It's a man who called himself a walking library of sound informations and experiences. And his name is Kailash Kokopelli. He is a sound healer and international producer of medicine music since the early 90s. Since then, the sound medicine man has explored the healing effect of sound in uncountable individual and group treatment, as well as sound healing concerts and ceremonies. And in today's interview, he will share with us insight and his work at the Wismedar World Institute for Sound Medicine Educational Treatment. So let me invite Kailash. Hello, Kailash.
Nisarga, blessings,
Hello.
greetings from Cape Town, South Africa. I'm very happy to have this opportunity to share with you and reflect about the healing effect of sound.
Thank you. Thank you for joining to Integral Body Institute and our community that is live today with us. So I would like to start asking you something about your new project. I'm very excited to hear more about Vismetar World Institute for Sound Medicine Education and how this came about, and what's the project about in terms of your work, the sound healing.
Yes, it's very exciting. We are fortunate to have been given the keys to an ancient castle in Slovenia. It's called Mirna Castle. Mir means peace, so it's a castle of peace. And we were given the keys on the 21st of June on Solstice Day, Ring of Fire, eclipse, and new moon this year. And since then, we've been working tirelessly to prepare the round tower and transform the round tower of the castle into the sound tower of our institute, which we just founded in Slovenia, which is the Wismetar, the World Institute for Sound Medicine Education, Treatment, Art, and Research. And why would we be passionate about establishing a physical place, an institute as a treatment center, as an educational and a research center for the sound medicine or the healing effect of sound, since I've explored since the early 90s. And why not just go online? It's much easier to go online. We can stay wherever we are and communicate and teach online. And especially now in with this whole Corona situation, everybody is going online, and so we are going online here. It's a wonderful tool, of course, digital technology, communication tool, and we can reach each other even and transcend time and space in this way. That's wonderful. But the real meeting, an actual meeting in the same time and space, and the transmission, which can happen from a teacher to a student or from different experts who can come together and counsel and share their experience. This will never be able to be experienced, to my understanding and insight, through a digital domain. Things get lost in translation. So that's why we're passionate to create a physical place where people, sound healers, can come, artists, and it will be an artist residency we're building in Slovenia. And scientists, doctors, therapists, artists are welcome to the roundtable. Everybody who wants to co-create and make a contribution to the greater good of all and co-create a sanctuary, like a mystery school, where we can explore all the different mysteries and healing arts. And specifically, our department is the focus on the healing effect of sound, which I was blessed to be able to explore since end of the 80s, early 90s.
Beautiful, beautiful. Sounds like an amazing project. When I was When I was
And
starting our conversation with you before starting the live, you shared with me an interesting insight about intention, and I asked you how intention is connected to the sound and healing, and you said something that intention is everything. The sound without intention is dead. That the intention is the soul for everything. How you bring about intention to your sound? Do you put yourself in some intention when you start playing instrument, or when you go into your concerts? How does this affect you?
so whatever we do, uh, is this, the intention is the soul of whatever we do. Intention is the soul of whatever we do. So we all know, if we cook a meal with love, this love is infused into this meal, this bread, or what we cook or bake or create. It will be infused and it vibrates in the container of what we create, and it is being translated through that container. So if that is a bread or food or sound as a carrier of information, the sound medicine, the medicine is the intention of the sound, so if we put ourselves into align our intention to, let's say, sound born out of silence, leading back into silence, is a wonderful tool and bridge and vehicle for us to come home to who we truly are, our true being, which I like to refer to as source. We can tap into source by becoming still, mastering our mind, the busyness of our mind through our breath. Sound is a wonderful tool for us to come home into just true being or deep being, tuning in to come in tune with our true essence. So, and that is where we find true intention, or like intention in a form of communion. Yes, because of course, intention. I can have the intention to charge my sound with a specific information, and then we are going into the field of what governments and military is doing with sound, and it's more of a form of abuse and manipulation through ELF, extreme low frequencies, or using sound as a scanning device to scan the ocean floors. U.S. Navy, the Navy is using sound to scan the ocean floors, and these sounds are sent out, and the dolphins and whales are going mad and stranding because beaching themselves because of these frequencies. And sound, ultrasound is also used now, not just anymore as a diagnostic tool, even as a surgery tool, and with a more and more success rate. So, but the intention is, of course, if we align our intention to a higher intention, which means, of course, if we step aside and become an instrument um, for, let's say, we call it source or the great mystery, the great spirit to play through us, to resonate through us, then and our intention is aligned to that pure intention, which is love. Obviously, without love, we our everything is empty. A bread without love doesn't nourish you. A bread made without love doesn't nourish you. A sound, a beautiful sound, no matter how perfect a musical piece is played, if there's no passion, if there's no love, there's no pure intention in that musical piece, it's dead. And we all know this example that someone may play a musical piece perfectly and it doesn't touch us, and another person plays exactly the same musical piece, maybe not so perfectly, but with all uh, his or her heart and soul, and it touches our heart and soul. So this sound becomes a transmitter of energy, intention. Sound, also, what is sound? Yes, maybe that's the next question. What is sound? What is sound? If we go into if I may reflect on this in a nutshell, If we go into the very heart of the atom, what is there? Energy. This energy is not stagnant, it's alive, it's vibrating, it's translating itself into an emanation, vibration, frequency. Frequency translates into sound. So we can say in a very simplistic way that all of creation is energy on different levels of density. And what makes, for example, our body is a symphony of sound, or a composition of different frequency keys, which then form this specific container called the liver or the kidney or the heart with its function. And what makes a difference is the different rhythms, pulses, and frequency keys and combination of frequencies which form this container. And then if the ground frequency or the composition of this specific organ is disturbed, for example, through different frequency pollution, through our networks, radiation, frequency radiation of our communication networks, or microwaves and extreme low frequencies. Our original composition is being influenced and disturbed. So that's why being in a field of radiation, of 5G radiation, for example, it influences our cells, even to our genetic makeup. So if we come home to the original ground frequency, our cells have these little cell receptors, yes, and they're literally being massaged by sound vibration and sound frequency, and they can repair themselves through the harmonic resonance. The harmonic resonance, if we work as a sound therapist, as a sound healer, we work with ancient instruments which all have a very strong harmonic resonance and a great overtone range. And the body and the cells are picking up the different frequencies from this harmonic range to nourish themselves and to repair itself. So we've had wonderful results through sound medicine transmission, where we created frequencies through ancient instruments. Like the didgeridoo was one of the first instruments I explored as a healing sound, a healing tool in the end of the 80s. I brought the didgeridoo to Europe and was one of the first to bring it to Germany. Back at that time, nobody knew about didgeridoo. There was one. Willy Grimm was in Switzerland. There were a couple in the Netherlands, a few in England, and then slowly the whole movement around didgeridoo started and exploded. Now there's thousands of didgeridoo players, many thousand didgeridoo players in all over Europe and the world. But I went into exploring the healing effect of sound through the didgeridoo because I was prophesied that one day I would do healing work with my flute. So when I was 11, 12 years old, I would go into the forest with my flute and sit under the beech tree and play my flute, and the wind would come and open my perception. And it was like the breath of spirit was responding to my breath, which created the melody through the flute. And the birds came and the wind came and opened my perception for exactly the time we're in. Actually, right now, I was shown that we're going into a time of global major changes and that society would be rearranged and that I had no time to lose. So that I needed to go into the world to prepare myself and find my tribe and find the land. So I left home age 13 with my flute and quit school, left home, followed the wind, followed the calling. And a psychic friend told me that one day I will do healing work with my flute. And then became an apprentice when I was 17 years old. I met medicine people, lame deer, Wallace black elk, sun bear was one of my first Native American medicine teachers, and they confirmed my vision. Back at that time, we didn't have internet. There were not many books about prophecies, or the information we have now was not accessible. So I was very much alone with my vision until I met native indigenous people who confirmed, no, we're in time of big purification, and get out of the cities, grow your own food, prepare yourself. Already back then, we were told this by native people. And of course, everybody was too busy to listen. And so finally, I came to, after my apprenticeship with Sunbear, a 7-year apprenticeship, I came to travel to India, and I was living on a houseboat on the Ganges in Varanasi, and I meditated on the internal sound. And I heard that in a deep state of meditation, you can audibly hear the hum of the universe, the eternal sound. And so I went into this deep state of meditation. Suddenly I heard this hum, this eternal sound, but it didn't come from within. It came from down the river. And I followed this sound. I from my sitting practice, I transformed it into walking meditation and followed this sound. And I met an Australian man who played didgeridoo to the river dolphins. Back then, that was in 1988, 89. Um, I did not know about didgeridoo at that time. It was not so popular. And I was totally, literally blown away, because the sound vibration, I felt how my energy centers were stimulated, how my energy bodies were expanded, and how life force was streaming through, vital force was streaming through my whole system in a more powerful way. And I understood, oh, this is the flute my friend was talking about in his prophetic vision. It was the mother of all flutes, or the father of all trumpets, if you like.
Beautiful. Wow, beautiful story. What really touched me in your story, a few times you mentioned about internal sound, and also something about what really sound is, and I want to refer to one of my experience a few years ago when I was in darkness retreat in Estonia, south of Estonia, in complete isolation, just by myself, close in the chamber, under the earth, in the forest, with no traffic, anything. And after a while, I noticed there's no silence. There's no really stillness, because we tap into this atomic vibration of the sound. And I'm curious about your view on where does really sound come from, because when I was in darkness, when I was in this stillness with sound, you could say soundless space, and within this soundless space I would hear all the galaxies somehow. It's hard to explain it clearly, but there was this kind of buzzing, aliveness of the earth. There was something there. There was no still, and it has profound sound. So I really resonated with this internal sound. And so I'm curious, from your perspective, where is the sound coming from? What is the source?
The source is the source. The source is source. And as I mentioned earlier, all of creation is energy on different levels of vibration. What makes the stone, the plant, animals, and us is different frequency, rhythms, pulses, patterns, frequency keys, and combination of these frequency keys, different density of energy, which forms this specific expression of life and its function and its intelligence and emanation. So yeah, and by the end of the day, it's all energy. Energy, all forms of appearance is a child of time, a certain energy vibration, a densification of energy, which creates this form called Kailash Kokopelli right now. And this is just a child of time. The essence of who I am obviously is beyond this specific physical emanation, but in this time, the essence of who I am manifested, incarnated, clad itself in form, which is nothing but densified energy. We all know this. Meanwhile, this is not new anymore. Einstein talked about this. Tesla talked about this. There's been Hans Jenny, a Swiss scientist, explored how frequencies were influencing different substances like liquids and metal dust and different dusts, and creating these sacred geometric patterns, and showed us how everything is interrelated. Form and sound and smell and color are all interrelated and connected. So that's why also now, it's a big movement of sound healers, and I guess I've been one of the co-initiators. Back in the 80s, 90s, there was not many. In fact, the terminology sound healing journey is something I've crafted back then, maybe through the collective field. Others found a similar terminology. Also, the terminology sound medicine was something I brought to Bali 10 years ago, and it's been branded. It's become very popular now. Everything is sound medicine, but no, for me, sound medicine is the mastery of frequency keys to an extent that we, master the frequency key which cures the cancer. We master the frequency key which transforms a certain disease. And we know that there's been many experiments in explore different scientists and universities of exploring which frequency keys are in resonance with certain, for example, leukemia, cancer cells, and it's in the 10,000 hertz frequency range, where the cell membranes start to resonate in this frequency range, so that the cell membranes start to vibrate and shake and disintegrate themselves. They cannot hold themselves in this frequency range anymore, so they start popping. The cancer cells start popping, and the cancer cell dies, and healing can happen. We've been talking about Estonia. We've been successfully transmitting sound medicine, sound vibration to a young woman who had 5-centimeter cysts in her ovaries, and within 10 hours these 5 centimeters neutralized and disappeared. She went to X-ray the next day. They couldn't find the cysts. I followed up a year later, and still no return of these specific cysts. So sound is a powerful tool, but it's a carrier of information, and the intention we charge into the sound must be a pure intention, which is in service of life, which is in service of, supporting the self-healing process. The sound medicine is a tool to initiate self-healing processes for the one who receives the sound. And it depends totally on the receiver as well. It's an alchemy of circumstances, the timing, the place, the one who transmits the sound, and all of who I am on my level of awareness, consciousness, my experience, my emotions, everything of who I am is, of course, resonating in the sound vibration I transmit, or which is coming sent out through me. And then that is a frequency key in itself. All of who I am, for example, as an instrument myself, and then that the power of intention is extended through the physical instrument, which may be the Native American prayer flute, or the overtone chanting through the voice, or the didgeridoo or the crystal singing bowls or the crystal chalices and uh, Tibetan singing bowls and gongs and all these different monochords and these different instruments we use to explore the healing effect of sound. And on this note, I must say, a true master must always remain a true student in the light of the great mystery ever unfolding. Because if we think we know something, then already we are closing the possibility to tap into expanded awareness, which is infinite. So therefore, also, I personally do not think that the concept of enlightenment is elegant, because we see enlightenment as a kind of an absolute state. But enlightened in which world, to which understanding, there's infinite realms of existence, infinite levels of consciousness, and to be totally expanded and connected in all of these different realms of, let's say, the great mysteries expression, from the densest to the most sublime. Who believes they're enlightened to a complete communion with source on all levels of emanation, I think is in a dead end road, because even the great mystery is ever unfolding, ever expanding. So enlightenment can never be a complete state in that sense. So we may awaken into more and more subtle levels of awareness, and that is only happen through humility and sincerity, deep self-inquiry. That's also why I have explored the healing effect of sound since over 30 years now, and I'm still a student in this field. That's why the Wismitar Institute is inviting sound healers, therapists, and scientists to come together to the round table and exchange and share information and experiences and their expertise.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Wow. You mentioned something about, you mentioned many amazing things, but also many different instruments that has and carries power of healing, the sound of healing. You mentioned also this story in Estonia where sound really cure women from diminishing the cyst. But what I'm curious about, what would you recommend to somebody who who never studied a sound, to how to start the journey? Would like how to connect with the instrument, or maybe with the nature, how to build receptivity to listen to the sound and be able to
Beautiful.
receive it into the cells. What would be the journey like for somebody who starts?
Beautiful, perfect question. The journey of sound is really it's a life it's a life journey. It really includes everything. The path of a sound medicine man or sound medicine woman is really a discipline, a yogic path, and it starts really with tuning not just our body with pure elements, clean diet. Obviously, we have how many 100,000 nadis, energy channels in the body, subtle energy channels in the body. We have not just the 7 main energy centers known as the chakras. We have so many energy centers in our subtle bodies, and these energy channels are to be purified through exercise, to be opened for. We're only operating, what is it? I mean, statistically, scientifically, I think is it 7 to 10% maximum of our brain capacity. So we're dormant, and we're now tapping into, now through the raw food movement, the vegan raw food movement, we suddenly realize, wow, I have so much energy. Actually, I'm much clearer in my mind, and I'm much more centered in my emotional body if I'm not addicted, if I don't feed addictions like white sugar and coffee and black tea and cigarettes and other substances. So really it starts with a diet. That's where things start. Diet. Ideally the purer our diet, the cleaner the more we can purify our channels, the more we can be receptive and sensitive, because the sound we send out coming back to us gives, for a sound healer or someone who offers themselves as a healing instrument through sound, you need to be able to be sensitive and be able to, like the dolphins that send out these click sounds, and in the resonance they can identify, okay, that fish ate a lot of, this fish is contaminated from Fukushima or whatever. This fish ate a lot of, mercury or whatever from this industrial waters, whatever, So the sound we send out comes back to us and gives us information, and then we see, hear, feel, sense. Okay, here's an energetic knot, or here's densification, or here's energy leaking, here's crystallization, and then we work with the sound to open this and bring the flow back in. And but now we're going into technicalities. You asked me, so I just want to continue this train of thought around, okay, diet, number one, to tune the body, to tune our physical vehicle. Exercise, to tune our physical mind, body, spirit vehicle through breath, movement, chi movements, for example, yoga, any form of exercise which brings flow, purification. And then, of course, learning to still our mind, the identification with our thoughts and emotions. They are like wild horses which drag us this way and that way, until we come to a place of stillness and learn through breath and sitting practice to come into a place of stillness, to open our inner ears for deep listening. And really, you asked me what to recommend for someone who never touched an instrument. That's number one. To stop, tune in, come in tune with what I like to call the song of the heart as a compass for guidance. It's a silent song. For that, in order to listen, to really hear the song of the heart, which is our assignment of our true calling, who we truly are, why did we come into being? We can hear the song of the heart by practicing deep listening, learning to still our mind, learning to not identify, feel what you feel, think what you want to think, but learn to come to a place of stillness, to really tap into what beyond thinking, beyond feeling, into what we call source. And that is the place of knowing. This is the place of communion, beyond the mind's, beyond the intellect, beyond the mind's comprehension, a place of deep communion with source, where we can come home to true being. And from there, all informations are accessible. Where do we come from? Where are we going to? What is our true purpose in life? We can tap into really the library of all information through the doorway of the heart, when we can come into a place of deep communion, because in that place of deep presence, we can tap into an inner net, or an interconnected field of, you may call it collective field of consciousness or pure consciousness. Obviously, there's a higher consciousness, there's a subconsciousness, a field of subconscious field, but there is a field of pure consciousness which we can tap into. It's like tuning the radio station, to the different frequencies, So there's the noise, and then boom, now we tuned in and we can access this. Maybe this is classical music and it just opens up and lifts our spirit. Or there's some more dance music which distracts us, and it's kind of noise. So and silence is the key for us to come home into atonement, or to tune in to come in tune with true essence of being. So that's my recommendation for anybody who wants to learn an instrument. First, master the instrument of who you are, your mind, body. That's a lifelong process. You know, it's a lifelong practice. So to really tune this instrument, and all physical, all musical instruments are just extensions of that energy. You know, we can make love through you know, with through our eyes. We can make love through our voice. We can make love through our presence. We can emanate love, you know, through just our thoughts, our feelings, our, you know, if we anchor in the state of love, of unconditional love and compassion, which is a very important human qualities, which are apparently being overridden with this new sign, some kind of chromo, but that's a different Pandora's box. I'm not going to open up right now. But yeah, so basically cultivating compassion as a human quality, unconditional love is absolutely essential for us to maintain our human qualities and develop them further. You know, without that, the world will be ice cold. We will be just robots. And oops, now did I lose you?
No. We are here hearing. Yeah.
You still,
Yeah.
okay, because I got thrown out of my system here.
Yeah.
You're there. Okay, good. So, yeah, and where were we?
I love the comparison of the body as an instrument, inner instrument, and then before we tune into the external instrument, tuning into our own body by diet, by exercises, by breath, by meditation, stillness of our mind, the monkey mind. I really love it, and that is kind of preparing for receiving the sound. I really want to thank you for before we go into some short meditation that I would like to ask you to guide us. I want to really thank you for your masterpiece music that I listen a lot on Spotify, and lately the one that really stuck in my head was Non-Consent. It's a masterpiece. So for anybody who'd like to listen that song Non-Consent, please find it on Spotify. I was hiking in the mountains a few days ago, and I put it on, and I was looping for 40 minutes all my way. And it's not just the sound of this song that is beautiful, but the meaning. The meaning is so deep that I was really touched. How you beautifully combine the vibration of the sound with the meaning. And the message to people to really take care of the planet, of ourselves, and really be more mindful, more meditative. It's a beautiful masterpiece. So thank you for
Thank you so much for receiving the medicine and helping me to fulfill my purpose. I'd like to refer, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. I'd like to refer to, so that is a project called Vita Varg. Vita, like life, Varg is Swedish for wolf. So Vita Varg is the white wolf, is one of my allies. And so this is a EDM, electronic dance music project, which is really not really my genre. But as an alchemist of sound, I find different expressions. There's 10 albums on the Spotify and the different streaming platforms of different genre, from soul, funk, world, jazz, to medicine music, which is more minimalistic and shamanic soundscapes. So there's a great musical variety of different genre, which come through. You know, I see myself as a birth helper for these different songs, and I need to refer to this specific track you referred to. That, you know, in the world of polarity, we can say, but if you negate something, if you say no to something, you are feeding that. So why would you say no? I do not consent with mandatory vaccination, microchip implantation, etc., etc. You know, and why would you even mention that? Because simply that when we don't say anything, it is taken as a consent. Therefore, in the world of polarity, we need to make a stand. And especially now, it is very important that people stand up and say yes to life, yes to their freedom of expression, and no to the violation of our human rights. Not just for us, but for the future generations. So this song came and already inspires a lot of people to stand up and be, say yes to life and protect life and the sacred planet, which has been lent to us from the children of our children and the future generations.
Beautiful. I see some comment from Eva here, Eva Di Piero. She commented, "I love your music. I agree. This is what is needed now." So we have some participants here who know your music very well and follow you. So those of you who don't follow Kailash, find him on Spotify. Amazing, amazing music. I love his art. So Kailash, for the end, could you please guide us into a meditation or sound healing process, something that we can take into our hearts for this evening day here in Europe?
I brought this little Native American prayer flute. It's from ancient kauri wood, made from ancient kauri from New Zealand. And it is carbon dated 30,000 years old, this piece of kauri. And it was in the swamp, so being preserved in the swamp. And so the vibration of 30,000 years is resonating within this piece. Look, I mean, in this conversation, we're really just scratching barely the surface of sound medicine. And but thank you so much for this opportunity to reflect a little bit. And those obviously who wish to explore more are welcome to connect and also visit us at Myrna Castle like yourself. There's a seat at the round table for everybody who wishes to make a positive contribution to the preservation of this planet for the future generations. And so I'd like to invite you to just close your eyes and connect with your heart and allow the prayer flute to take you on an inner journey, to just come into a place of presence, into relaxation, maybe to utilize this sound to visualize what it is you want to manifest. We're in a time, at the verge of a global totalitarian dictatorship being rolled out. And what is your contribution? What do you want to see born? What do you want to see manifest? And I invite us to see how we succeed to anchor in a new earth where we live in peace and in harmony with ourselves and one another, and where we share the resources which are lent to us with one another abundantly, fearlessly, and how we create beauty and how we create in harmony with this planet and all of our relations and all kingdoms, a world which is worth living in for our children and the future generations. See that, call it in, breathe it in, dream it up, anchor it into your heart, in your vision, through your words, your actions, into this dimension. prayer is from the east. May the light of the rising sun bring the gift with every breath and every heartbeat, the remembrance that every heartbeat and every breath gives us the opportunity for a new beginning, a new choice. And from the south, I like to invite us to breathe in and connect with the sun in its highest place at noon in the summer, place of love, of trust, of growth and healing. And from the west, I like to invite us to bring in the place of the setting sun, the gift of introspection, self-realization and strength, which comes from when we tune in to come in tune with our true essence. And from the north, I like to invite us to breathe in the gift of the winter, the night, the ancestors, the wisdom, the purification, regeneration, and wisdom of our ancestors in this time. From below, all emanations of life through all the different kingdoms and elements of life, we breathe in to strengthen our vital force with gratitude for the gift that this emanation of the Great Mother in form of Mother Earth is carrying us and nourishing us, providing all what is lent to us during our visit here. With gratitude, we receive this gift of life and we vow to step into true guardianship of this living earth, to preserve this precious blueprint for our children and the future generations. And from above, we call upon the light of the great mystery to guide us in these times of changes, in these dark times, that we may be a light for ourselves and for one another, and that we may be guided by the song of the heart as a compass for guidance. And from within the seventh sacred direction, we listen deeply, always, to this song of the heart as a compass for guidance, and create the pathless path, by taking one step in the direction which is our heart is calling us to. And this is the way the path is unfolding through these times, one step at a time in the right direction, following the heart. Thank you so much. Blessings.
Blessings. Thank you. Thank you for sharing beautiful music, and also for this amazing prayer, seven directions. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for joining us for live today at Integral Body Institute. If you'd like to follow up Kailash, you can find him kailashkokopelli.com, his website, and of course,
Kailash Kokopelli. But best is Instagram. My website is down. It's a dinosaur. So kailash.kokopelli at Instagram or Facebook, all the social media. Yeah. Thank you. And yeah, thank you.
So, okay, thank you. I have beautiful comments from Irene. I just read, oh my God, how beautiful, that touched me. Grateful for this touching moment. So we had a beautiful evening with our audience. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Kailash, for your time, and blessings.
For coming up.
Grateful.
What an honor. Many blessings to you.
I hope to see you on the way next year.
For sure. Stay healthy and alive.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night.